Before we begin this video, I would like to take a moment to say rest in peace to Michael Forge. He was the producer of Gears of War and many other games, and with great sadness I have to report that he did pass away 3 days ago to aggressive cancer, and that was very unfortunate. Prayers go out to him and his family. Okay, right away I see I should have did this video maybe 2 days ago, but I thought people would remember because there's so many people running around here claiming there's these OG gamers and they have these collections and they know everything about video games and, you know, these guys. Well, apparently Microsoft is fucking up. And when I say fucking up, they're fucking up. Now, if you remember games for Windows, which was the equivalent to Xbox Live for PC, that was a clusterfuck if you played on PC. Me personally, people think I'm new to PC gaming, but I've actually been around for a long time playing on PC. I just prefer console for the plug and play features. I recently decided to get back into PC when I saw that my console was just as complicated as my PC when it comes to buying a DVD, a Blu-ray, or whatever type of physical format you buy and plugging it in and watching a game actually have to be installed. Well, that decided at that point, well, you know, maybe I should just go to PC since it's doing essentially the same things. Now, with that being said, Epic Games is currently voicing out their concerns for Windows 10 and Windows 10 gaming because a lot of people are not understanding that between this and Xbox saying that they want to release upgradable hardware, there's a lot of confusion. Now, let's talk about the Xbox for a second. The Xbox 360 actually had at least 5 iterations of its hardware. And it's not just the outside, I'm talking about the inside. Me, being a person who repairs consoles, I happen to know for a fact that there were many iterations of the Xbox. Now, the one that you may know and possibly remember, and the most common one that most people remember but somehow forgot, is the 2005 Xbox 360 versus the 2007. In 2005, the Xbox 360 was re-released with the HDMI port, which granted it HD. The first Xbox 360 actually didn't even have HD support. You had to use RCA jacks, which is those 3 little plugs in the back, and you had another separate 3 plugs to add to it to give it an HD effect when HD was currently available. So this is not actually the first time that we've seen the Xbox release a stronger version of its previous console. So this is actually nothing new. So people who are seeming surprised talking about, oh, you're gonna have to open your Xbox. No, fools. They'll simply probably release another Xbox. Now, it will probably come across as the same as the Xbox One, but this one will be able to have better HDMI support, and it will probably have extensions to plug in variable hardware to add more power to the console. Now, of course, this is going to go back to the times when Sega had Sega CD and TurboGrafx 16 had TurboGrafx CD, and people were really not liking it. But at the end of the day, this is probably the only way they're going to really be able to give you 1080p at 60 frames per second on these consoles. Yeah, people are going to go, well, what happened to the cloud? Well, let's break down the cloud for a second. A lot of you fanboys, and you may see them attacking me if you go on Facebook groups and you go on Twitters from time to time, but mainly on Facebook, they like to attack me when I correct them on this. The cloud can only be as powerful as the processor inside of the system. The cloud can be 20 million titans. Once it hits the processor, it still has to process this information. The processor doesn't get bypassed by the cloud. So a lot of times when you guys were trying to explain that, I was trying to explain to you that the cloud will be limited by the processor in the hardware. So hopefully now you guys are understanding that the cloud was a little bit overrated, okay? So let's get back on track now, back to this Windows 10. UWP is the format that Windows 10 is using to create its games. The problem with creating these games is that once you use this format, you throw out EXE and you throw out the traditional format that is used for game developers to design. Essentially, this will cause a problem because now you're giving game developers a third thing to design for. Now, as lazy as game developers have been in the past, as you see from Windows 10's current failures like Gears of War, you see that it is lacking a lot of customization that PC gamers are used to. You cannot use 2 graphics cards, which is the biggest complaint and biggest shock that I've ever seen, ultimately shooting this thing in the foot. And not just that, it gets worse. Game developers now can be brought off by Windows 10 and designed specifically for Windows 10. So if you do not have a Windows 10 device, you cannot play these games. Now, the next problem with that is, if you're designing it to work on a mobile tablet, how powerful can this game actually run on a PC? So they're actually limiting the resources of PC so that this thing can work across various platforms, including the Xbox One. This is a big problem. This is very bad, and PC doesn't want it. I'm almost sure of it that this will get shot down just like Windows Live did for PC. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But as far as the hard drives and the upgradable Xboxes, you already saw your second Xbox One, which is the one that was released with the SSD, giving it faster loading times. So you shouldn't be too surprised if they sneak out another Xbox and all of a sudden they say, if you have this model version of Xbox in ahead, you can add this to it. This peripheral will give it 3D. It will give it 1080p support. In games like The Division, where you can go into the menu screen and you see you have the ability to adjust the graphical performance or adjust the performance of the frame rate, you will probably have more options for games going forward. This is something that they plan on doing, and they plan on making it where they can monopolize the control of the video games from PC down, which is definitely something that people will not want, because simply put, if a game is released on the UWP, it will have the limitations of that software, versus if it's released on Steam and it has the full capability to use all of the hardware in the PC. So hopefully this video is explaining these two things to you people, because there's a lot of misunderstandings on what's going on here about the Xbox having an upgradable option versus the Windows 10 fiasco and the monopolization of the gaming industry on PC if this happens. So this is definitely two things that are not looking good for Microsoft at this current moment in time. Fanboys, let me know what you think. People, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you have any questions, as usual, hit me up. Now, I do want to let you guys know, fanboys, it's been fun rocking with you, but hopefully you can learn a little thing or two when I'm speaking. And, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? I don't see how anybody can see this as a good thing, with them giving them a third way to develop, and game developers now being greedy and being able to take money to develop specifically for this system here, and throwing out all of the expectations, all of the actual extra hardware that people may have. SLI and Crossfire for PC is the #1 problem that they say they'll rectify, but it's just a bad sign of how powerful this can be if this ever got taken off the ground and became a big thing. It's very scary. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. My throat is a little raspy right now. I'm out of here. Later. Exactly the same as far as the edges and the way that things reflect. Now, the game should be around 1080p, but this is not confirmed. On my display, it did register as 1080p on both consoles.